Hello Internet, this is TheStabbyBrit, and today I would like to rant about special characters in 40k. Specifically, I would like to suggest that we ban them entirely, at least from matched play. Obviously, if you want to play open or narrative, then feel free to bring these guys along. But matched play is somewhere I think these guys should be banned from altogether. Now, why do I think this? Well, partly it's because I started in 3rd edition, and special characters were effectively banned in 3rd edition. I mean, to give you an example, Marneus Calgar could only be taken as a HQ choice if you were playing a game of 2,000 points or more, and 1,500 was about the norm. But also, you needed your opponent's permission to field him, which meant that very few people ever did. You certainly didn't do it for a pickup game. Now, you could argue that the same is true now. I mean, if I don't want to face Marneus Calgar, and my opponent turns up with a list containing Calgar, I can just say, I'm not playing you. But the problem is, in the old system, it was my opponent's fault. I mean, my opponent had this unit where the codex says, look, you need to make sure beforehand your opponent's okay with this. Whereas now, it's saying I don't want to play Marneus Calgar is no different than saying I don't want to play against Sisters of Silence, or I don't want to play against Gene Stealers. It doesn't come across as this is an inconsiderate opponent who didn't think about whether or not his opponent would like to play against this special character. It's, I'm playing against a dick because my codex doesn't give me any limitation to fielding these characters, you know, except of course you can only have one of them. And I personally think that bringing this attitude back would be good for the health of the game. Because the prevalence of special characters as the norm was in no small part due to the shift, which I think it was about 5th edition this really took off. The shift where special characters were not only better versions of standard characters, they also gave you specific bonuses. I believe... for the Dark Angels, for example, I believe Belial unlocked Terminators as a troop choice. And Samael unlocked Ravenwing as a troop choice. And there were a lot of these. You know, you could... Logan Grimnir unlocked Wolfguard as a troop choice. So you could potentially have a Wolfwing army. You know, all Space Wolves in Terminator armor. These... rules, these changes to your army list were, I think, a big reason why special characters took off. And this is gone in 8th edition. I mean, it doesn't matter even if it was still here. You know, not only are troops no longer required, I mean, you could field an army composed entirely of HQs now if you want to. We have a lot more flexibility, so we don't need this kind of slot swapping that we used to. But even then, special characters are just better versions of what is available as standard. I mean, to look at the Dark Angels Codex, for example, you have Azrael. Now, Azrael costs 180 points. I've got the book here. And I can't find any point costs for any of his war gear. So I'm going to have to assume that 180 points includes his gear. So that includes the Lion's Wrath, that includes the Sword of Secrets, that includes his Artificer armor, and the Lion Helm. So, what do we get for that? Well, for 180 points, he's got the stat line of a Master in Terminator armor, except he's got higher movement than that, but we'll ignore that. So how much is a Master in Terminator armor? Well, it's 105 points. However, you then got to look at the war gear, and as best I can figure, you're looking at something like a Relic Blade and a Combi Plasma. So that brings us up to about 140 points. What do you get for that 40 points difference? Well, first off, Azrael's a Chapter Master. You reroll all failed hits for friendly Dark Angels within 6 inches. That's much better than just rerolling ones to hit. He gets Supreme Tactician, which gives him an extra command point in a battle-forged army. And his chapter tactic is the one where you can regenerate spent command points. He gets the Inner Circle special rule, which means he automatically passes morale checks. I know that's not much on a character. In addition, he can reroll failed hit rolls against Fallen. Again, that's not a huge ability, but it's an ability. He's got it. And he has the Lion Helm. So not only does he have a 4+ invulnerable, but every Dark Angel infantry and Dark Angel biker model within 6 inches of him also has a 4+ invulnerable. That's really nice. And, he's also, he also counts as a member of the Deathwing, which, bizarrely, let me just double check this, because I'm pretty sure they don't. Oh, they do. Okay, so that's fine. The Master does count as Deathwing. That's fine. I was under the impression they don't, for whatever reason. We'll ignore that. So, there we go. For 40 points, you are getting the upgraded melee weapon, the upgraded ranged weapon, because it's a master-crafted bolt gun with a combi plasma attached. You're getting that Supreme Tactician, you're getting that Lion Helm. That's a good sell. Why, if you have the points, why wouldn't you bring Azrael over a Master in Terminator armor? And on the subject of that Master, I mean, we reckoned he's about 140 points. For 150 points, you could have Belial, who has the same stat line. He's Grandmaster of the Deathwing, so he gets the he rerolls all failed hit rolls for Deathwing within 6 inches, and he has Rights of Battle, so he's a standard Dark Angels captain, and he's Master of the Deathwing. And in the fight phase, your opponent gets a -1 modifier to hit rolls against him. And yes, and he has a mastercrafted power sword that always wounds on a 2+. So, again, I mentioned, the Relic Blade. We gave a Relic Blade to our Master because, well, that's just like as good as we can get. It deals +2 strength and D3 wounds. Well, Belial's sword is +1 strength, 2 damage, so it's slightly weaker against vehicles. But because it always wounds on 2+, it's effectively better against infantry than the Relic Blade. So for effectively, I've just realised, this example Master had a combi plasma, didn't he? So we'll ignore that. So for about 25 points more, you can have Belial, who just has a much meatier combat ability, is harder to injure in combat, and makes your Deathwing tougher. And if you're bringing a Master in Terminator armor, you probably brought him because you have some Deathwing in your army. So why not bring the guy who makes those Deathwing even more nails than they already are? I mean, I'm pretty sure Deathwing require like 3+ to hit. Deathwing Apothecary 3+ to hit. Deathwing Terminator Squad 3+ to hit. Yeah, so yeah, why not bring Belial? Why not? It's just a no-brainer. And I think this is part of the issue. That there just isn't really a reason not to bring these guys. I mean, every single Ultramarine list I see now, especially ones that are going to tournaments, appear to be built around Rabute Gilliman. And I think this is an issue for the game. I mean, what is the purpose of the standard HQ in this environment, when a special character is just objectively a better choice? The only advantage a standard character appears to have is that they are cheaper. What is the purpose of them? And I feel like this is something that needs to be addressed, because you don't need chaplains if you have a chapter master, and plenty of these special characters are chapter masters. You don't need a standard captain, because the chapter master is better in every way. You don't need chaplains if you have Azrael and Belial, because they effectively have the chaplain special rule. Maybe you need a librarian for some psychic powers. Maybe you want a lieutenant just to get you some reroll ones to wound. But again, why not bring a special character? There is probably a special character who does this for you. And this is something I think hurts the game. And this is why I would like to propose Games Workshop give this a try and say, in matched play, you can't bring these people. You have to bring standard HQs. You know, you can't have a Sisters army with Celestine. You can't have a Tyranid army with the Swarm Lord. You've got to have the standard entries. And I would like to see what impact that has on the tournament scene. Because my gut feeling tells me that if we implemented this rule, the Space Marines would basically disappear. The Ultramarines would be gone. You would see no Ultramarines at tournaments anymore. And that would be useful. That would tell Games Workshop something, because they seem to rely on the tournament scene so much for balancing. I think that would send a clear message of, look, Games Workshop, your flagship army isn't present at these events anymore now that you can't bring Rabute Gilliman. What does that tell you about the state of your flagship army? Can we please have a balanced Space Marine Codex now? So yes, I don't know how many people are actually going to get on board with this idea, but I think it's something worth considering. I'm certainly happy to pass my thoughts along to Games Workshop, perhaps not. Perhaps I won't link them the video, but I will try and make my points more coherently. And of course, I want to hear what your thoughts are. Feel free to fill the comment section, or the forums, or Games Workshop's Facebook page. Go somewhere and propose this idea and bask in the hatred it generates from the people who have built their entire army around one special character. You know, how dare you stop me from bringing Magnus and Mortarion in a 300-point game, you filthy heretic. Anyway, that's about all for today. TheStabbyBrit, signing out.